Welcome, friends, to a word of hope for the feast of the evangelist, St. Mark. Friends, who was St. Mark? Was he the John Mark we hear about in the Acts of the Apostles, a companion of Barnabas and Paul on their missionary journey? Was he the protege of Peter? In our first reading today, we hear Peter bring him up. Peter writes, "The chosen one at Babylon sends you a greeting, as does Mark, my son." And the great St. Irenaeus also writes that after Peter's martyrdom, Mark, the interpreter of Peter, transmitted to us in writing what Peter preached. It's important because Mark had such a decisive influence on Christianity, its further development, after he wrote that first gospel, completing it around 70 AD. So it's important to know where Mark was coming from. He certainly writes with the immediacy of one who has an eyewitness account, or close to someone who did. He's a wonderful storyteller. And this is important because how did the teachings of Jesus circulate initially? Just in the form of sayings. No one really told his story. Even Paul's letters don't do that. And then Mark comes along, and Mark, with the richness and detail and narrative, brings storytelling magic to his gospel. What does he most relay about Jesus out of all the different things? That he was a Savior who came not to be a political Messiah, not to save people from the occupation of the Romans. He came to save our souls. He came as a Savior that would prove the depth of his message and his own conviction about it and complete the will of the Father by being a suffering and crucified Messiah. Very hard for his disciples and his apostles. They were hoping someone was going to liberate them from the Romans. And this is the twist Jesus brings. Initially, first half of the Gospel of Mark, all those healings and miracles, yeah, we see the authority of Jesus. But then he says, oh, this authority is going to look very different. It's the authority of love, self-sacrificial love. That's the authority I want to be an example of, and also to the apostles and disciples that you must pattern your lives after. And so it is with us, friends. In these 50 days of Easter, we're given a pattern. We continue what the risen Christ began, but not with the world's authority of self-assertion, but with the Christian authority, Jesus' pattern of authority, self-donation. So today, in whatever ways, big or small, be a person not of self-assertion, but self-donation through self-sacrificial love. God bless you and happy Easter.